Okay, so this is going to be one of the first videos I do on my channel like this. And as you can see, if you're paying attention to like the date at the bottom of my computer screen, that this video has been held back for quite a bit, mainly because of my insecurities of my voice, like how it sounds on recording. But let's just get into what I'm doing here. What I'm trying to do is practice sketching dynamic poses and action references for like future upcoming comics and graphic novels. The only problem I found with this is trying to like consider where the camera is and foreshortening limbs of the human anatomy. It's actually pretty crazy when you think about it. And as you can see, I'm not doing this all without a reference because doing dynamic poses without a reference would be just asking for trouble. So I'm just using God's gift to humanity, Pinterest, for references on these poses. And as I mentioned earlier, this video has been held back for quite a while. I'm going to put an image on the screen of one of my most recent practices of dynamic poses, trying to fit it with my character Kane and mastering like some kind of new ability. It's definitely gotten easier practicing these types of poses. And my process for drawing these types of practices isn't overly complicated. Like I said, I just open up Pinterest, maybe put some background music on, and find some poses, a collection of poses that I really like or I think I'd like to practice, and just give it a shot. And not every line that you put on the canvas will be perfect or anatomically correct, so if you ever make a mistake, don't fuss about it or give up, just try again. Here you see me picking out a new pose to practice because I felt that I got to a pretty reasonable finish with the first one. Here I'm trying to pick out something that's as diverse as possible from the first one I practiced, because if you add as much variety as you can to the poses you practice, it'll be easier to mash up the different fundamentals you learn in order to make a new and original pose. And I don't think I did it in this practice, but if you intend on making like an entire practice sheet and just filling one canvas with multiple poses, it's cool that you can on digital paper, not on digital paper, but within digital software, you can draw rather like big or huge and then size it down and put it in the corner of the paper so you have room to start a new pose. I didn't do this in this practice, but I've learned that it makes it relatively easier to do it more recently. This third pose you see me drawing now, I feel is one of the best poses that I put on this practice sheet. Not because it was easier to draw or I just was warmed up or something by then. It's just I felt that this pose was like more interesting to me and I wanted to break it apart and see how it worked more than I did the other ones. This was a really cool pose to figure out and put together. And as I mentioned earlier, it's kind of important to make room on your practice sheet if you plan on doing it on one sheet, because after I felt done with those poses, I erased it all to go find a new, reference sheet to start new poses. Which, if I would have just made those drawings smaller, I would have had more room to put more poses on the paper. A big tip I think is useful for drawing these dynamic poses is first getting the big blocks out, the big shapes that stick out to you before anything other than that hits your eye. So you see I'm drawing the shapes of the muscles, the shape of the head, and the shape of the torso before I worry about any of those small lines like the cursed hands. If you haven't noticed, there is quite a bit of a recurring theme with these poses, is that the reference is a staff user. And this is because I was practicing like right before working on my comic book Kane, the sketching. And I'll put an image up of Mika and probably her, battling in action, because I had to use a lot of references to put that character together because she is a staff user, her main weapon is a staff, and staffs lead to a lot of dynamic and fluid poses that I really didn't understand before I did all this practicing. I definitely feel like practicing a lot of this type of stuff regularly can help a person improve in their skills of art and dynamic poses, but practicing too much I has definitely found it aids burnout and can get in the way of what you're actually trying to do or what you're actually trying to accomplish with this practice. So try to pace yourself if you're trying to practice like this. And one more thing before the video ends, I'm going to shamelessly plug Belligerent Art's Globalcomix page. There you can check out both the first draft and finished versions of the series Kane that we're currently working on. And just support us if you can, drop a follow and a like. And that's all. See you later.